Guys, don't let slow speeds or block sites ruin your online experience. Proton VPN gives you super fast, private and unrestricted access so you can browse or stream with no limits, just like Arne Slot's Tricky Reds. So click the link below and get your exclusive Proton VPN offer now. Yes, people, we're warming up to the final on Sunday. I am here giving you a bit of a review as to what Arne Slot has said in his press conference this morning ahead of the big one on Sunday. Smash that like button, get your comments in. Big questions that I've got to ask you really in this video. Who is going to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold in this final on Sunday? Well, if you go off the other night, it would be Quansah. I think he's maybe the shoe-in, but what I wanted to explore in this video is a couple of other options that Liverpool can play with. And Arne Slot, actually, it was the third question that he was asked in the press conference this morning. Naturally, the first one was him reacting to the Virgil van Dijk quote saying he still doesn't know about his contract. Bit cheeky to ask them first and foremost when there's a final on Sunday. You'd surely ask for team news straight away. But either way, the team news from what Arne Slot has told us this morning is that Trent Alexander-Arnold is definitely out. And that will be his second consecutive Carabao Cup final that he misses now through injury, which is absolutely gutting for Trent. And like I said, guys, I was probably 20 metres away from where he got injured the other night in the Anfield Road end. Straight away, the shirt goes over their head. You know, it didn't look good when he came off. And actually, I thought it was a knee injury just from kind of what I saw live in the action. But it's an ankle injury, which is obviously a lot less complicated than a knee injury. And we're hearing from Arne Slot that he will play before the end of the season. So gutting for us, for him to miss out another final. Gutted for Conor Bradley, obviously injured as well. Liverpool super light at right back at the minute. But the good news is Konate trained today. And if you do play Quansah at right back, then Konate almost has to play, doesn't he? Because what other centre-backs have you got, knowing that Joe Gomez is out injured as well at the minute? So there's a few options that were explored by Arne Slot in the press conference. The journalist said, is Quansah basically going to start? Is he a shoo-in now? We know Trent won't be playing. And the interesting thing he said straight away, when he was asked about his options for that vacancy in this game on Sunday, yeah, he said, look, Quansah did really well the other night. He almost scored. I think it was just about offside. But in terms of his duels and getting forward, being a threat, Quansah actually really impressed me. I haven't actually seen him in a right-back position with that kind of freedom to go up the pitch before. And you know what? He's a handful, right? I mean, if you're one of the left-hand sided players on Sunday for Newcastle, they might use Kieran Trippier at left back. Obviously, Lewis Hall's injured. They could use Dan Burn there as well. Livramento could also be used there if he isn't injured, which I do think he might be or might be coming back for. But Harvey Barnes dealing with Quansah, big Jarrell getting up and down. You know, that's a job for him to think about. But he's one option, and if we go off, you know, the let's say 60 minutes that he played the other night, including extra time, then he's a solid option. I would say priority or option number 2 for me personally would be Wata or Endo, right? And the journalist, I think it was Vinny O'Connor for Sky, said, you know, Curtis Jones can play there, Quansah can play there, Endo can play there. It's probably another name that you could throw into that as well. But for me, having that matchup, yes, we know Anthony Gordon isn't playing, but that defensive matchup between Endo and Harvey Barnes, I think could be really interesting. And I think whenever Endo is faced with a one-on-one situation, whether that's at centre-back, whether it's in central midfield, listen, I love the geezer to death. I can't really tell you one time or a player that's got around him or put it through his legs and barged him over. He doesn't really lose duels, and that is his strongest attribute as a footballer. You know, he's not that raking 60-yard through ball that Virgil can do from 20 yards behind him. He's not really going to cut the lines every single game with a line-cutting pass that takes away 4 players and slides through Mo Salah. But what he will do is win you the ball back, keep you the ball, and give it off to the players that can do that job. So for me, if I'm talking about a one-on-one, head-to-head, there's even an argument to play Endo at centre-back in some games. You know, he played centre-back for a large part of the PSG game the other night. He started games against Accrington Stanley. Yes, it's a much lower level. But the versatility that Endo's got, he could play centre-back. He wouldn't want to play right-back, but of course, because he's got the right mentality, he goes there and he sorts himself out and he doesn't let anyone get past him. He's on job. He's the captain of Japan, let's not forget. So he could play right-back there as well. And obviously he plays in central midfield. So that's 3 positions that Endo can cover. Jarrell Quansah, probably centre back and right back, you'd say. Curtis Jones was another name that Arne Slot mentioned. Even Curtis could play there, he said. In terms of this game specifically, if it isn't Quansah, I want Endo there. Curtis Jones as a right back, to me, I think he has played there very, very briefly in spells within games for Liverpool. I don't think maybe he started 1 or 2 games as a right back for Liverpool, actually. I seem to remember when we had loads of injuries in the 21-22 season, or sorry, 2021 season. He played there a couple of times, but not to the extent that he ever challenged for Trent, like a Conor Bradley. We all know Trent's position is Curtis's position is in midfield centrally, or off just the inside off the left. So there's a few options there for Liverpool. If you're asking me personally right now at this minute, I think I might be leaning towards Endo. And I'd like to ask you, I mean, the natural selection to go into that spot, if Trent isn't there, as we know, is Conor Bradley, who is so good, and we've got so many years ahead watching him develop and grow physically, mentally as well. He's still so young. But Wataru Endo, in terms of locking down a one-on-one situation, that could be a right back, it could be central, it could be in the defensive line. I just back him to win all of his duels, his headers, his one-on-ones. He's no slouch, he can get back, but it's more about his positioning to know when to drop back and when to push. And Harvey Barnes is going to go, whoever is in that position, I guarantee one of Eddie Howe's tactics for this game, if Tonali gets it in midfield, if Bruno can get it on the turn, if Joel Linton can look up and find space, that ball is going to be going in that right-hand channel all day long. This is what I presume that Eddie Howe is going to do. So in terms of a one-on-one duel, right, where your back's to the touchline, you don't have to worry about that. It's only just what's ahead of you. I would go with Endo for a final, and then maybe you bring on Quansah later on in the game. And yes, maybe it is a risk. We haven't seen too much of Endo at right back at all. But the key thing is for me, win your duels and pass it to the midfielders who can find a Mo Salah, can find a Nunes running in behind, can find a Luis Diaz. And again, we're not expecting him to look up like Trent and play that arching ball over the top for Mo Salah. We're not looking at that ball across to Luis Diaz. Keep it simple and give it to the players that can make that big switch and cut them lines with them passes and put Liverpool into threatening positions. So that's my opinion, right? Arne Slot has said it in the press conference that it could be Curtis Jones, it could be Quansah, it could be Endo. Me personally, I'd go with Endo, but I do think he's going to go with Quansah after his performance the other night. But that's not to say that Quansah doesn't come on and offer some steal. And let's not forget, whenever Endo does come on this season, it's been to shore out the games. So to actually start him, I think would be a big difference. But what a game Endo had last year, guys, right, in the cup final against Chelsea. For me, he was the man of the match. Goal line clearances, blocks, tackles, throwing his body in front of people. I fell in love with Endo, right, on that performance last year. So he knows he can do it in a final. I'm pretty sure Quansah came on in that game as well. But for me, it's Wataru Endo. You need as many captains on that pitch for a final with the know-how, the experience as possible. And he's my man for this one. Yeah, I've already done the lineup prediction yesterday in the preview. Go and watch that if you haven't already. Don't also forget, tomorrow we're going to be in Covent Garden with Matty Renton. I've already had him on the phone, right? He already wants to go for a pint. So we're going to get his thoughts ahead of the game. Obviously a big Newcastle fan, Magpie Channel. On the actual day itself, we're going to be outside Wembley in the morning. We're going to film a kind of how we're feeling in the morning from outside the stadium video. That's going out. We've also got a vlog. I'm actually sitting with Sky Sports in Club Wembley. There's going to be other Liverpool fans knocking around. So that's going in the vlog. Plus, we'll have fan cams and an instant match reaction for you on Sunday. And then me and Doyle are back on the sofas in here talking hot topics. Hopefully, we're talking about another League Cup win for Liverpool. But listen, that was the press conference reaction. I wanted to ask you guys at home who should play right back to replace Trent at the weekend. We know Bradley and Gomez are out, so it's going to be Quansah, Endo, or Curtis Jones. He even actually mentioned that Andy Robertson could play at right back, and then you play Tsimikas at left back, which is actually something Newcastle do. They put right backs at left back. Look at Kieran Trippier, for an example. So loads of options to think about. But you know my thoughts now. Let me know your thoughts in the chat below, right? Massive one this, Reds. Get involved. Smash the like button. Get your comments in and subscribe to the Kop TV as we go into Arne Slot's first final as a Liverpool manager. Come on, get it over the line. And I'll see you then. Take care.